So I'm out and about with the family and I'm in the St. Louis area and I am in the mood to do some toy shopping. So I thought it might be fun to look up a local store that's in the area that I used to frequent many years ago, but I haven't been in quite a while. It's a shop called Slackers, and I think this is a chain. I know there's several locations around the area here. And this is one of those stores that's like an everything store. It is video games, it is music, it is movies, it is toys. It's really cool. But we looked it up, we drove to it, and something I noticed right away is that the location is different than I remember. It's moved into a mall, a dying mall at that. This particular location used to be in a much larger store. They used to have a full arcade, and they used to have a huge toy selection, which consisted of a lot of vintage toys. And unfortunately, seeing this smaller store at the mall and walking in, I instantly realized it's not what it once was. Now, don't get me wrong, it's still a cool store. There's still a lot of things in here, but on the toy front, it doesn't have what it used to have, especially when it comes to vintage toys. I did find some Star Wars stuff right inside the door here. They had a few vintage Kenner pieces, but nothing really stood out to me, and the prices were a bit higher than I'd want to pay on these anyway. They did have an Episode 1 Battle Bag mint on card, and I think those things are fun. I did a video on one of those like many years ago. Those things were like slime blind bags before that was even cool. So how about these Trendmasters Lost in Space figures from the 90s movie? That's pretty wild to see. In fact, I found a whole little section of loose, random 90s figures. Stuff in here like Kenner's The Shadow and Waterworld. Pretty random.
Poor Hook got his hat ripped off. Is that his
brain?
There was a pretty good selection of modern action figures in here. You can tell that they actually have like a distributor deal, so they're stocking up on a lot of the more current stuff. So if there's any of that you're looking for, this seemed like a pretty good location to find that sort of thing. I found these Mondoids, and I actually thought this was pretty cool. This was Mondo's attempt at like Mad Balls. I never had any of these. This is pretty cool to look at.
Hey, Spencer.
What?
There he is. P-Man.
No, it is not P-Man.
That's P-Man.
No, it isn't. It's him with all the power flowing through him.
The power of P.
No!
So while I'm not finding anything on the toy front, they do have a pretty big selection of comic books here as well. They've got a whole row of long boxes that's filled with stuff, and I decided to do a little bit of digging here. Wasn't really finding much that I'm specifically looking for. However, I did find one single issue of Rom the Space Knight, and it's an issue that I need. So, looks like I am going to grab something from Slackers today. I'll be able to knock this one off my ROM checklist, which is pretty cool. So that's Slackers, and look, it's still a cool store, and I kind of want to check out some of the other locations. I was just a little bummed that it's in a smaller location and has definitely downsized from the last time I was here, but I'm starting to realize that it's probably been almost 10 years since I was shopping in this area, and I decided that I want to go ahead and head on over to the local Savers. If you're not familiar, Savers is a thrift store, and I actually don't have any of those locally to me, but anytime I'm in an area that has them, I like to dip in and check them out. This particular location right here, I actually had really good luck at way back 10 years ago. Savers is probably most known in the collector space for their baggie wall, where typically they would just bag up all of the various toys that they have, slap a price on it, and hang it on this baggie wall here. 10 years ago, I walked into this location right here, and I had the best luck I think I've still ever had to this day, because I scored some insane deals. It looked like somebody's entire collection ended up in this particular store, because there were multiple baggies, all of which were priced like $2.99, and they were stuffed full with things like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Kenner's Superpowers, Masters of the Universe, and so much more. I mean, I found things that day like a mail-away Clark Kent action figure, and a freaking Scareglow with his cape. It was unbelievable. I did a video about it. You might have seen it if you've been following me for a long time. It was 10 years ago. Holy cow. I am ancient now. So I'm not really here with like high hopes that I'm gonna recapture the magic that I once had before. I mean, I used up that luck already. That was my one once in a lifetime thing, right? But I am curious what it's like now. Is thrifting still viable for toy collectors today? Can you still find cool things at decent prices at a thrift store? That's the question that I am hoping to answer. So I'm scanning this baggy wall to see what I can find, and bingo! Right off the bat, I locate a Masters of the Universe action figure. This is Battle Sound He-Man from the 2000X era, and right next to him, I found Battle Sound Skeletor as well. So I'm looking at the price tags on these, and He-Man is priced at $4.49, but I do notice that his right hand is missing. The Skeletor is a little bit higher at $6.49. I'm not sure if that's a good deal, but he's gonna go in my maybe pile. I did stumble upon this baggie filled with Hot Wheels, and it caught my attention because one of them is a recent He-Man Hot Wheels vehicle. It's a little banged up though. There's quite a bit of scuffing on there. Stina found this Disney Animators Collection Sleeping Beauty playset. It's like a little house filled with minifigures, and it's actually priced at a pretty decent $4.40. And so she's checking it out to see if it's got all of the pieces inside. Ah, here we go. This is awesome and a true vintage piece. This is a Shredder bubble bath topper. Haha, yes, I love it. Now it's got a price tag of $7.49 on it. That seems to be like a common price that they're putting on a lot of these things. But this is cool. This is something that like would actively fit in with my collection, and I don't have it. So I do think I'm gonna be grabbing this today. Pretty awesome. So it's really interesting to me though that I found that. Like, why was this by itself? Like, where's the other vintagey pieces? Did this just come in by itself? Did I miss the other vintage toys that maybe this got traded in with? And also, the $7.49 price tag on this really solidifies to me that things are very different than they used to be. Obviously, prices have gone up on collectibles, but I think it's pretty noticeable that savers, are actually looking this stuff up online before putting price tags on them now. And it really, really gets me when I find this. This is an anti-venom bend and flex figure. It's essentially a bendy figure, and this is a modern toy. So modern that I know that they have these at Walmart, like right now. And it's got a $15 price tag on it. $15 for a modern bendy figure. Like, there's no way that anybody wants to pay $15 for this, right? Am I crazy? So sure enough, I look it up and it is actually in stock on Walmart's website right now, albeit it looks like this one does only come in a 4-pack, but you can buy all 4 figures for $25 right now. In fact, I went ahead and looked it up on eBay, and one of these exact 4-packs just sold for $15. The same price that Savers is trying to charge for this one figure. Buh! So I'm scouring the shelves. I'm looking at all the random stuff that's here. You guys remember that movie Real Steel? How about this Real Steel Rock'em Sock'em set? That's pretty meta, considering that movie was basically like Rock'em Sock'em Robots the movie. Although this thing is priced at $20 and it's missing pieces. You can't even play it. $20. I will say that this Imaginext Power Rangers playset's pretty cool. It's $10. It's missing all the pieces, but it might work as like a cool display piece. The Zordon looks awesome on there. Oh, hey, over here on the shelves with all these bigger playsets, I found a vintage Man-at-Arms action figure in a baggie. How random. Maybe this is another vintage toy. Maybe this came in with that shredder. $10.49 is on this. Long gone are the days where I was buying whole bags of these in this store for $3, because here is one single vintage Motu figure for $10. I don't know, is that a good deal on this one? Feels like it's about the actual asking price. This is interesting. This stood out to me right away. I actually had to look this one up, but this is a 1984 UFO toy from a space station playset by a company called Lil Playmates. I've never actually heard of the company before, but I noticed right away it was vintage. It was dated 1984, and when I looked it up, I saw the playset and it looked pretty sweet. For $3, this is a pretty cool little find. But with that being said, I think we're gonna wrap up our day at Savers. Like, there was a lot of fun things to look at and dig through, but the prices were kinda all over the place here. So I guess now we're at the point of the video where we find out what I actually bought. Here's my Savers haul. All right, first thing that I grabbed from Savers was this Battle Sound Skeletor figure from the 2000X era. You can see that this one had a tag of $6.49 is what I paid for this guy. And that feels a little high for what this is, but I love the 2000X era. I am such a sucker for this figure. I love the vac metal on there, so I decided to save him. Let's rip him out of this baggie here. Such a great looking figure. And these are the ones that talked. So there was a little button on the side. Batteries are dead, unfortunately. Should be able to change the batteries here on the back, but he's still a really slick looking Skeletor action figure. He does not have any of his accessories though, which is a bit of a bummer. And looking this one up, just looking at recent sold listings on eBay, I can see that this one was not a good deal, unfortunately, because for the same price, people have been buying this guy complete. So I probably should have left this one hanging, but man, I'm such a sucker for this stuff sometimes. Next up, a vintage Man-at-Arms action figure that I paid $10.49 for. This one was a bit of a surprise find, and I'm shocked that there wasn't more figures there. Like, it's weird that there was just one vintage Masters of the Universe figure there on the shelf. But this is really crazy because $10.49 is what they're charging for one figure. And thinking back to 10 years ago when I was buying bags of these from the same location for $3. So clearly things have changed. Obviously pricing has changed quite a bit on a lot of vintage toys. This one's in okay shape. The legs are a little loose. The important thing to note here is that he has all of his armor bits. Leg armor, arm armor, these are missing quite a bit. He's got the regular chest armor there as well. He's only missing his mace to make it complete. And while I will say that $10.49 didn't feel like a bargain, I will say that looking this guy up on sold listings, he's going upwards of $15 in this same condition, or even with less armor pieces. So maybe I did okay on this one. This is the most unique thing that I picked up. This is a UFO from a 1984 space station playset that's probably designed for preschoolers from a toy company called Lil Playmates. I had never heard of it before, but I recognized right away that this was a vintage piece. I could just tell by looking at it, and it is dated 1984. It looks like a really cool little playset, to be perfectly honest. And this is just kind of a neat looking toy. You can see the dome opens up. There's like a place where the figure would plug in inside there. You've got a little blaster cannon on the front. You can move the landing gear on there so you can actually like stand it up. I don't know, it's kind of a neat toy. And this was the most reasonably priced thing I think that I found there, because this one only ran about $3. And looking up the space station parts for this Lil Playmate space station, I can see that people have been paying upwards of $10 just for this UFO alone, with more pieces of the playset going for even higher. I don't know, it's pretty cool. I don't know exactly what I'm going to do with it, but I don't know. I thought it was neat. I kind of felt like I was rescuing this one. All right, so my personal favorite thing that I found, and this one I do consider to be a winner. This is a vintage Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles bubble bath topper. of the shredder. I paid $7.49 for this, which, again, doesn't seem like a thrift store deal, to be perfectly honest. But this is a really cool piece. I did not already have this in my collection. And looking it up online, there were no sold listings for this, but there are several of them currently active. And this thing is kind of all over the place. I mean, it's ranging anywhere from $10 to $20 just for this in the exact same condition. So, I don't know, maybe I did okay paying $7 for this, but I'm happy that I own it. And at the end of the day, maybe that's all that matters. So with that, are thrift stores still worth it for toy hunting? Can toy collectors still find cool stuff at a thrift store for a good price? Yeah, maybe, but it's definitely different now. I'm sure if you're somebody that scours thrift stores on a regular basis, you're probably somebody who finds things more often. But if you're like me and you just kind of wander in one here and there, I definitely think it's a lot harder to find good stuff for good prices. And clearly, with the market changing and fluctuating as much as it has in the last 10 years, the thrift stores have caught on that some of the stuff is worth more money, and they're certainly looking this stuff up before putting price tags on there. Some of the things that I picked up are selling for exactly what they're worth according to sold listings on eBay. Some of them were a little under that, but I think it's pretty obvious that they're pricing this stuff based on what people are paying for this stuff. So the deals are probably still out there. I don't really think I found super deals today, but I got some cool stuff. Sometimes that's all that matters, right? Guys, thank you so very much for watching today's video. I really appreciate you joining me every single weekend here on the Pixel Dan Toy Hunt channel. If you enjoyed what you saw, please consider hitting that subscribe button and tell me in the comments, do you find cool stuff at thrift stores still? Are you a regular thrifter, and are you finding cool toys still? Don't worry, you don't have to give away your secret spots. Thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, happy hunting, my friends.